everyone. Welcome to the Quilting Life podcast. We are taping for the episode on Monday, August 31st. Today's actually just Saturday, the 29th. So we're just two days.
A couple days before.
Right. A couple days before. I'm Sherri McConnell.
And I'm Chelsea Stratton.
And welcome to the podcast.
Yep, we're so happy to be here again.
If you're watching on YouTube, you will see that we are wearing headphones today.
And we're kind of like excited about it because we've never done this before. So it's kind of different experience for us. And
right. We can hear each other.
Yeah, we can hear each other really well, which is nice.
Yeah. Hopefully it's good for the sound quality on all the podcast platforms and on YouTube as well. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to just get started. We have a full list of things to talk about today. So many
things today.
Yes. So first, I just want to mention we're not going to have an old favorite because neither one of us thought of one, but I have
not today.
2 new finds. So the first one is, I actually shared this on my Saturday 7 on Saturday, but
I need those.
These are the best pens. They are the Zebra mild liners, and they have 2 tips. One is like a chisel tip for highlighting, and the other one is a regular tip. And I love them that you can highlight and nothing smears or bleeds, and they're just such pretty colors. They're really making my...
So they're double-sided?
They're double-sided.
Is that how it works? Yeah, can we see one?
Yeah, so they're really making my planner look beautiful.
Yeah, I need some.
And they're just kind of like a mild pastel.
Nice. And you'll link to those.
I'll link to these in the show notes and in the description. They're just great pens. Okay. That was totally unrelated to quilting, but I love them.
Well, I wouldn't say it's unrelated to quilting because I feel like as quilters, like we love to write to-do lists. That's true. We love to plan. And sometimes when you're working on a project, maybe you need to highlight certain things a color and other things a color. That I respond to colors really well. And so it kind of helps keep me organized. So totally quilting related, you guys.
Awesome. Okay. And then the other new find is just to let you know that I am teaching a class through Martingale U, which is the publisher of my Labor of Love quilting book. And I'm teaching one of the projects from the book, the Family Tree Pillow. And signups are going to open on September 8th, and they are going to be limited. So it's an online class, and it has 6 different sessions, including a Q&A at the midway point. And there are 3 other great teachers that you can take from, Corey Yoder and Kathy Schmitz and Stacy West of Buttermilk Basin. So all 4 of us. Yeah. And
that's so awesome.
You get a discount if you take more than one class, and each class is the same format, 6 different sessions. And anyway, just mark that on your calendar. I'll put a link to the sign up page.
I've heard you talk about it. It sounds really, really exciting.
I'm super excited. I just actually finished filming today, the last little session this morning. And also, if you don't want to make a pillow with my project, you can do a wall hanging.
A little cute wall hanging.
Yeah, and there will be kits to make this exact version available.
I love on the back that you have
2
different ways.
So you can slide the dowel through there.
Oh, through there. Okay, and it helps hold it. Okay. Yep. I was wondering why you had this third one.
Yep.
Right there.
So
also, I wanted to make note, the Labor of Love quilt that you have on the table is spiral bound.
Oh, yeah.
That is super cool.
Yeah, I actually had my son get this done for me, but...
you had it done.
I had it done after. So you can take any of your quilt books to a copy store, and they can spiral bind it for you.
What?
And then it just makes it so much easier.
You had to keep it open?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I just noticed that.
I'm glad you noticed that.
Okay, so I just want to talk about the quilt hanging on the wall today. So this is one of my patterns. It's called Community, and it is fat quarter friendly. And I actually made this in our Harper's Garden collection. And it's just cute houses with a heart in the window. You'll be able to, we'll link this in the show notes, and so you'll be able to find it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really love this one. It actually goes together super, super quick and just a lot of fun to make.
Yeah,
So
I love that quilt.
I love house quilts just in general. So designing that one was a lot of fun. All right. Should we move on?
Quilt on the table.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So the quilt on the table today is actually one of my new quilt patterns, and it is going to be available in my shop early September. I made it using our new collection, Happy Days, and it's a row quilt. So we have like log cabins, 2 different types of stars, cute houses, flags, and I've had some questions, but these are clouds. So cute little clouds. And this is Fat Eighth friendly, and it's a lot of fun to make too. So, and I will be showing more, I think all of my quilts on our next podcast, hopefully, or in a couple podcasts.
Right.
From now, I had one just came back from our quilter, Marion, and she did the cutest design. And I know we talked about last time a favorites list of quilting, and this one is going on the favorites list. It's so, so cute.
Yeah, I love the design she did on that one. I'm surprised you didn't bring that one today to put on the ladder.
I did actually. I should have put it on. Yeah, I was going to take pictures at your house of it.
Oh.
And then you guys, Mom actually pieced one for me that is super, super cute. It's a flower quilt. So
it's really fun.
I will, I started homeschooling. I think people probably know this. I posted about it, and Mom kind of has saved me with my workload, which has been very nice. So thank you, Mom.
You're welcome. Okay. Are we ready to go through our questions?
Let's dive in. We always have so many. I'm like, what if like nobody asks us a question? And then every time you guys have the best questions, and I'm like, whoa, that was a good one. So
no, I did a survey on the blog a couple weeks ago, and I got 175 responses.
Oh my goodness.
So we have quite a few questions, but if you have one, keep sending those in too.
Yeah.
So this will just, I'll keep that bank of questions for.
Yeah, keep sending them in.
But keep sending them in. We love them. Yes.
All right. Should I get started?
Yeah.
Okay. So how many works in progresses do you have? Is that how I say it?
Yeah. Work in progress.
Work in progress.
Or UFOs.
Yeah. UFOs.
However you call it.
Some people are like, what whips do you have?
Right.
And I counted mine last night, and I only have 3. So I kind of felt kind of proud of myself. I'm more of a, if I start it, I have to finish it. One is a Christmas project. One is a fall/Halloween project.
Okay.
And the other one is just something just normal.
Okay.
So just 3.
So I have a few more. I have Moda Blockheads 3, my Quilting Life block of the month.
Oh, okay.
And then I have my little log cabins.
Those are so cute. I saw them last night.
Yeah, my little village houses. I have a blue and white quilt I'm working on. I have a Christmas quilt I'm working on. Is that 5? 6?
Are you using Minnick & Simpson on that blue and white quilt?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I knew what you were talking about.
Right. And it's really a plus quilt. It's really cute. It's one of Lori Simpson's patterns. I got to get that done. I keep wanting to add more of her fabrics.
You know what Mom will be doing today.
So 6, but I'm doing another one that I'm going to actually be sharing in September. So that's 7. And then I think I have a couple things that I started and never finished. So I would just have to say 10.
So these are all things you've actually started, not like quilt. Okay, because I have 3 quilts that I like need to make.
Right, but you haven't actually.
I haven't actually started them, so I don't think they count.
Right,
which is good for my tally right now.
Yeah, no, I like to keep it under a dozen, so I think I'm doing okay.
She likes to keep it under a dozen, you guys.
I think at one time I had 24, and that was too many.
Oh my goodness,
too many. So.
Wow.
Okay, number 2. How do you press your seams open or to the side, and why? And my answer for this is that I press them open a lot when I'm doing half square triangles, especially if I'm making half square triangles just to have, and I don't know where they're going to go. I like to have the seams open so they're easily used. And
it reduces bulk.
Yeah, it reduces bulk.
Totally
for those.
Does.
But most of the time I will press to the side, to the dark side, I would say. 85%
to the
of the
dark
time.
Side.
Yeah, 85% of the
I
time.
love saying that.
Yeah, or to the direction it naturally falls.
That's what I do for the most part.
Okay.
I tend not to press my seams open, but I know that it does reduce the bulk. So I don't know. It just depends.
Okay.
Okay, so after a day of work, sewing, etc., what does your evening look like? Or maybe you sew into the wee hours of the morning. And I really liked this question because my schedule has totally changed with me starting homeschool this week. So I get up every day and the girls and I homeschool. And then before I used to say I worked till noon, and I've talked about that on the podcast, but I've switched it to 12:30 to 3:30 is when I work, and the girls are totally good with that, and they have free time that they're able to do things. And then after that, I go to bed.
Yeah.
I make dinner and I go to bed. It's just been kind of the same thing every day this week, but I do love the schedule, and I'm getting a lot done in those 3 hours. So
That's great.
yeah.
My evenings are usually doing handwork. Honestly, I've been doing so many grandmother's flower garden blocks, and I'm doing that Christmas
You
quilt.
have. Has it become an addiction?
So yeah, I'll have to show them on our next episode of the podcast.
They're so cute. I don't know how you can stop. They're adorable.
I think I've got 10 done now. So
Oh
basically in the evening, I do those, or I bind quilts while I watch TV. I did the binding on the wall hanging.
You're so
for
quick
my
at binding
class.
though too.
So
Like you could bind like 2 quilts in, and I know you could.
Oh, and if I don't have any handwork or any binding, I'll sometimes do housework in the evening. So that's kind of
Okay, so
exciting
your exciting evening.
Yes.
So what size is your sewing room?
Okay, so my new sewing room is about 16 by 16, and my old sewing room was 10 by 11.
Yeah.
So,
and mine is about 8 feet by 8 feet, but that is like a super functional space for me. And mom has seen it, so she knows it works really, really well. So
yeah.
I've shared pictures of it on social media, and I actually just added, I need to get another picture of that. We can post a picture here because I took a new picture.
Oh, okay.
And I talked about it on the last podcast, but I added another table in there. So a separate sewing table, and the other table is now a cutting table, and it still is functional. So you can still take a small space and make it work.
Absolutely. You know? I was going to ask you too, are you still storing some stuff in your closet, or is everything out in the room
Most everything is out on the shelves.
Okay.
Because we did floor to ceiling. We added the extensions, and my husband did all of the trim work and everything. So yeah, I finally have a closet again, you guys.
Oh, good.
So I still store things in there.
Right.
But it's not nearly as much like crammed
right.
as it was before.
Oh, good. Okay, so number 5. Mm-hmm. This person wanted to know the basic plan and tips for selecting and carrying out projects, examples of ways you keep projects organized, and a third part of her question was finding the joy in each aspect of sewing and quilting.
I love that question.
So yeah, it's really actually 3 great questions in one. So let's just take it one part at a time. Basic plan and tips for selecting and carrying out projects.
I feel like you should take the reins on this one. But for me, when I'm selecting, I feel like, okay, so I have 2 different sections of projects, which is what I'll start out with. The projects with like a new fabric line. Mm-hmm. So those are like, of course, I need to do those because they're accompanying a fabric line.
Right.
But when I'm picking like a personal project, it's just always, I actually have a little box I got from Target, and I keep the patterns that I'm just like waiting to quilt. And I have them up on a shelf in that box. And those are the ones that I want to do next when I have time. And so it's exciting because I'm like, oh, when am I going to be able to get to those?
Okay.
But I know that it'll be worth the wait. So
right. That's a great idea. I have a list of bucket list projects that I want to do someday. And that's a great idea to keep the patterns all together.
Yeah. It's like a little file box, like a photo box actually.
Right.
And I just keep them in there because I also store my pattern, all my other patterns, like in a box that I have. But these ones I know I want to make next.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. And for carrying out, when I start something, I'll usually have a plan in mind if I'm going to finish it quickly or if I'm going to
make it
into a long-term project.
I know. And normally I'm so excited about a new project that I really am like focused on finishing it. So.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2, examples of ways you keep projects organized. So I have project boxes for some of my projects, but what I have most of my current projects in are drawers in an alpha rolling cart drawer unit.
Those are perfect for that.
I love it because they get the airflow, and I can even actually link to what I use, but they're not trapped in a plastic box.
Yeah.
So I feel like the air flows through. It's just the white wire mesh.
Sometimes they can smell different if you keep them just in a plastic box for a while. That's genius. Okay.
So I just slide open the drawer and there's the project. So.
Well, maybe I should switch it up because I do keep my projects in separate boxes, but normally it's to just keep them separate from other things.
Right.
Like right now. Oh, so when I dropped off the quilt that you sewed for me, I brought it in a plastic box because I knew everything you needed was in that box.
Right.
But now like it's done, you return the box to me and I put like scraps in it already. Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm like, yay, one more plastic box. But
yeah, no, that was actually really helpful because she did. I made one of her quilts for her and everything was in the box and I was able to keep it separate from my stuff.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah,
definitely.
That was great. Yeah. And then the final part, finding the joy in each aspect of sewing and quilting.
I would say, okay, I'll talk about both. I'm always so excited to sew the quilts from a new fabric line because it's new. I'm excited to show the new fabrics off. But again, going back to personal projects, I feel like I try not to rush those because they don't have a deadline. And that's where I find the joy in that. So it's a little bit different types of joy, but I feel like just doing it at my own pace is kind of refreshing, which keeps me super happy about the project.
Yeah, I really feel like I do enjoy every aspect. You know, if you're choosing a project, that's fun. Picking the fabric, matching it to the pattern. If you're cutting it out, that's really fun because now you know you've actually embarked on the project. And I love the sewing. I love thinking of ways I can make that go faster. And then I enjoy the binding at the very end, kind of revisiting the project.
You do. And you taught me that because I was like, well, I just want to get this done really quickly, but it's kind of nice to sit down at night and turn on a movie or a show and just bind.
Right.
It gives you something because I'm the type of person I can't like just sit still. So I need to be doing like multiple things at once.
Right.
And that is actually super helpful.
Right. I'm that way too. It's hard for me just to watch a TV show or a movie if I don't have something in my hands.
Yeah.
Okay, number 6.
Oh yeah, number 6. Okay. I have too many projects. How do you choose what to do first? Hallelujah. Because that is like going back to my photo box of my patterns. And when I get to that stage where I'm able to sew a pattern that's like not my own pattern, it's kind of hard to choose because you're like, oh, which one do I want to start first? Do I want to start them all? Do I want to, so it's difficult. I would say I always gravitate towards one more than the others. I always do. It just kind of like depends where I'm at and how I'm feeling. So
when you're looking at them, one will just kind of stand out.
Yeah, one stands out for sure.
That's good. Yeah, I kind of do the same thing. I do have lists of things that I want to do in the future and things that I'm going to do. And so I think it just helps me just to look over my lists and same thing, like something will just stand out. This is what I want to do first.
And it may not be your first pick from the last time you went through your list. Exactly. It could change.
Right.
So
yeah, unless there's a gift that you need to make for somebody, that I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of Christmas sewing coming up. So that will probably take priority.
Can you believe it's like almost September? We need to get started.
7 is a quick one. How many hours a day do you sew? And does your back ever get achy from all that sewing? And yes. Do have shoulder back issues once in a while on those really long days. I feel like when I was finishing this quilt for Chelsea this week, last day I put it together, I think it was about 5 or 6 hours of sewing.
Oh my goodness.
That last day. So, but generally I'm lucky if I get to sew 2 hours a day, I would say. On a, unless I'm trying to really finish up something, get it to the quilter, I'm only going to sew 1 to 2 hours.
I would say the same, because although I have that 3-hour window now from 12 to 3:30 that I've scheduled for myself to work, some of that includes other work. So it's not always sewing. So I would say anywhere from an hour. An hour's pretty good for me.
Right.
An hour to 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. And I generally try to do I try to work in my office from 9 to noon and be done in the office, eat lunch, and then hopefully sew for a couple hours in the afternoon. Okay. So
when skip
to number 9. Let's do number 9.
Yeah, we kind of answered number 8.
Yeah.
How can you best organize your quilting materials when your workspace is somewhere like a dining room table where you have to constantly set up and take down? Sometimes it seems like so much effort that I avoid setting it up and miss out on time that I could be sewing. I loved this question so much because that's what I started out doing.
Me too.
My cutting table was my kitchen island. My sewing table was out on the kitchen table. I was laying out fabrics and everything. And with young kids, I was constantly moving back and forth in between my bedroom and the kitchen. And I mean, I think what I would say is just, it's such a hard question to answer, but I think it's fine if you do that. I think like so many people have actually had to do this. It's totally fine that like your home in general is your sewing space.
Right.
I think with me, with having little kids, I had to be really careful. Like, where was my rotary cutter? Was I putting it up on a shelf? Where were my pins? Like,
right.
But I would say plastic bins would help if you're cutting out pieces for certain sections of a quilt. Like, set all your sashing in a box, or set all your, and lay those out, or, and keep all of your tools like in a separate bag so that every time you use it, you have to put it away. Like, I think those are all helpful tips, but
yeah. No, I liked this question too. I was thinking, when I was first married, I think I always had my sewing machine in a corner of the master bedroom.
You did.
And then when we got our first house, we hardly ever used our dining room in that house. We always ate in the kitchen. And so the dining table was where I cut everything out and where I set up my sewing machine. But what I have done in the times when I was, using the dining room table is I would kind of try to confiscate a closet where I could keep everything pretty well organized in boxes.
And you did.
So,
I remember.
Yeah. So I think if you don't have a space that you can leave it set up, if you can just get a closet or a few shelves that you can dedicate so that you can easily put things away and easily get them out, I think that really helped.
Or even if you're in your kitchen and dining, consolidate items from one lower cabinet in your kitchen into another cabinet, and then make that kind of like a space that you can keep things where they're readily available to you.
Right. Yeah. It is an effort,
It
and
is.
the question, it said sometimes it seems like so much effort that I avoid setting it up and miss out on time that I could be sewing. And that is so hard. I remember that it would take, moving the sewing machine from the closet to the table. And Yeah. Or if you can find a corner where you can leave the sewing machine set up.
Yeah.
That's a great
Or
option.
even, add a little separate table in your dining room, like that you can sit at.
Yeah.
That is so hard
It's
because
hard.
we love to sew and that's, what you love to do. So.
Okay, number 10. I love this question. I'm gonna do this one first, if that's okay. She said, "I am loving the podcast. It's fun hearing the behind the scenes of the design process, as well as hearing about things you love. I am wondering how you store and rotate all of your quilts since you have so many. I just completed some patriotic quilts and I'm trying to decide the best way to store them once it's time to decorate for fall and then Christmas. How often do you wash your quilts? I want to keep mine in good condition, but worry about the wear and tear on them if they are washed too much." So really 2 different questions. How do you store them? And the question about washing.
Yeah.
So I am really blessed in this house that we moved into. I have 2 great closets to store my quilts in. And when we moved in, I just wanted to get them on the shelves. And I did keep all the Christmas quilts together and all the fall quilts together and all the patriotic quilts together, but everything else is kind of a mess. And that's actually what I'm doing this afternoon. I'm taking all those quilts out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a list by shelf of what quilt.
So So
I know.
Just in case you need one for something or to show it.
Right.
That is such a good idea to do an inventory on it.
Yes. So, and I have a dresser that has a lot of my smaller table runners. Projects like that.
Yeah, in the guest room.
Yeah, I'm going to inventory those. I'm going to inventory where everything is at. And then pillows, I feel like you can take the inserts out and store them flat and rotate the inserts so that you don't have to purchase as many.
That's so smart.
Pillow inserts.
That way you can keep changing things up in your home and then you know where to go back and find them. And wow.
And then you don't need so much space to store pillows. So telephone call.
And we're so excited about the sound effects, you guys.
Yes. We had to get something in there. That was perfect.
We planned it. No,
we really didn't.
We didn't. I was going to go back and say it is important to store your quilts, though, so that they don't always have direct sunlight.
Yes.
It does affect them over time. And so my quilts, I have that cabinet in my family room, and it has no direct sunlight. So I keep those quilts out on that shelf.
Oh, right.
But no direct sunlight is hitting them, which is great. And then I have a cabinet that has glass on the doors, and because I love to display my quilts, I love to show them. And so I can see them in there, but they're not getting direct sunlight. And then the quilts on my ladder don't get direct sunlight either. So it is important because it will affect them over time. Like you probably won't notice it, but over time you probably would. So it's good to rotate them, around a room, or like change a quilt off of a bed, over time. So
yeah, I feel like this is kind of I'm getting itchy to kind of change out the decor.
Yeah.
The red, white, and blue has been up all summer.
Yep, mine too.
I don't know if I'm quite ready for pumpkins yet. Are you? Or what do you do in between? I asked this question on my blog the other day and I got a couple of good answers. One reader suggested sunflowers for fall.
Very good.
So I don't know. What do you do in this in between? It's too early for pumpkins, right?
This is what is so hard, especially living in Southern Nevada.
Right.
It is so ridiculously hot right now that our minds cannot even think about fall.
Right.
But we're sewing fall and Christmas projects. And so it's really hard because you look at it and you're just like, no, it's not fall yet. We can't set this out,
Right.
And so I tend to leave my summer stuff up just a little bit longer, but you want to know what has helped is my Balboa quilts are out right now because they're kind of a different summer feel.
Yeah,
they're very ocean inspired.
Yeah.
So I'm like, at least they make me feel cooler.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe I'll take down the red, white, and blue and put Balboa everywhere.
Yeah, Balboa, just something like different.
Yeah.
But the sunflower one was genius. I love that because it's kind of like summer, a little bit of fall. But yeah, I have that pumpkin quilt that I just got back from American Patchwork and Quilting.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't set this out yet.
Right.
It's over 100 degrees. So
I agree. Okay,
maybe when we hit the 90s, I'll think about it.
Yeah. So I know we saw rain clouds in the distance this morning and I got all excited and then they went away.
Oh, wow. Sad.
Last part of this question about washing. I have thought about this a lot too. And that's one reason why I try to have seasonal quilts for all the beds. So it's not just the same quilt on the bed all year.
Yeah.
And that way I feel like I have a summer quilt and then I'll keep it out for 3 months and just wash it a couple times in there. In the summer, we don't need a quilt. So
you don't.
It's always off the bed. It's only for
you
decoration
roll
during
it down.
the day. Right, we roll it down. So, but in the winter, I do wash them a bit more, but I have more quilts that I can rotate when it's cold. So
yeah. I definitely wash my kids' quilts, more often than I would wash others.
Right. But yeah, I do feel like it, and that's why we need to make lots of quilts as quilters, right? So we don't put too much wear and tear on them.
That's, and I've talked about this before, but that's been my goal right now is making a seasonal quilt for every single bed in the house, which is a lot of work. That's a lot of seasons. And so it's on my list to do.
Yeah. 11, we've kind of talked a little bit about it. Do you organize your days so that you always allot certain times for sewing, certain times for creating?
Yeah, we talked about that.
We've talked about that.
I've changed my time slot for it. So
right. So, and I do kind of, I've been doing a lot of time tracking this week just to see how long different things take me so I can do better at scheduling those times.
You're so good at that.
So it's been interesting.
Please give me a
okay
a template of something to help me with time management.
This next one, I'm hoping Chelsea has some good ideas.
I do.
Okay, good.
I do. So it says, how do you organize on your phone/tablet quilting items you want to save, patterns, tips, blog posts, etc. So in my photos folder, if there is something that really inspires me, I just put it in that folder. That way I can go back to that. Like if I want to make that quilt pattern, like I'll screenshot something. Instagram also has a save feature, but I feel like I mindlessly save so many things that it's hard to go back and find them. So if I really love something, I put it in a photos folder in my phone.
Do you have a separate folder that's labeled like inspiring or, okay.
Like quilt, like I have a separate one for for my blog. So I know like those pictures I want to put on my blog, but like for this one, it's quilt inspiration.
Okay.
And then I can go through that and I can say, wow, that was something I put in there a year ago. And I really love that. Like I'd love to, make that.
Right.
So that's what I do.
That's a great idea.
Everyone, if you're using a tablet, you're going to have a document section that you can put everything in.
Right.
And you can always save like blog posts. You can save them on your phone. I know you can do that.
Right. I will sometimes use the Apple Notes app and I will write myself a note or put a link to a post or.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Copy and paste
like a
it.
link.
And then I will either text it or email it to myself using that app so that it's on my computer if it's something that I need when working on my computer. And if it's something I just need to do during the day, I'll text myself and I won't open that text until I've done it and then I'll open it and delete it.
See, I should mention that I use the notes feature on my phone as well. And I will save links or ideas like when I'm working on a fabric collection. Like sometimes I'll randomly come up with a name for a print that I want to name something. And I'll be like, I'm going to write that down. And so I have a list. And it's just about, keeping lists and folders, and phones nowadays are a great way to do that. Things have totally changed where you're able to store so much information on your phone.
Right. Yeah, I like that. And I feel like also it is important to review because I sometimes will go through and just delete a whole bunch of notes that don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
So
I do that too.
Yeah.
And it feels so good. I'm like, yes, I just deleted all this stuff that I don't need anymore.
Right. Okay. The next one, I thought this was an interesting one. At the end, it says, "What profession did you do before quilting?" So I don't know if we've ever talked about that.
Yeah, we haven't. So, okay. So I would say, obviously, like stay-at-home mom was which I still am. That's like my number one in my life. Uh, but I actually was a pharmacy technician before I started the quilting. And I still have my license. I was actually going to call you the other day because I'm about ready to renew everything. I have to do continuing education for it every 2 years, and then I just renew my license. I think it's still important for me to have that.
Yeah, I think
worked
so too.
and my parents helped me out so much while I was working on that. And I had kids at the time, and it was a lot of work. So you never know. It just could be something I could fall back on. But
Right.
I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that I have it. But
Yeah, it's a good license to have. I think you
it
should
is.
keep
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and then as for me, I have taught
totally.
English
For years.
Actually, the first semester I taught, I was a grad assistant at UNLV back in the day when I was actually pregnant with Chelsea almost that whole year. My first year as a grad assistant.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then I took a lot of years off to stay home with the kids, and I did substitute teaching. And then back in 2011, I started teaching again at the community college, just one class every semester. Yeah. And this is the first semester since then that I'm not teaching.
And I decided, it's so strange that you're not doing it, but it was good.
It was good.
It was time.
I loved working with young adults. I love reading young adult writing. And so
you had wonderful writers over the years.
Some great students.
Wonderful writers.
I'm missing it a little bit just because I'll read something or find something and think, I need to share this with my class. And then I realize, you don't have a class. So,
and speaking of the years that you substituted, so you guys, Mom was like, she was totally the room mom. She was like at the parties, but she also would substitute while I was in elementary school, mainly I think elementary school when I was in school. I don't remember you being my middle school or high school substitute.
I think I might have been teaching at the college by then.
Yeah.
So.
And I always thought it was so fun when my mom was my sub that day. My 5th grade teacher would call her a lot. And so she would sub, and it was really cool for me.
Well, thanks.
Well, you're welcome.
Okay, one more question. This one is a great one also. As a relatively new quilter, I have been buying fabric to use for a specific project. I want to develop a stash, but I don't know where to start. Any suggestions on how much yardage to buy if I see a fabric I love but don't have a specific project in mind?
Oh, that's a good question.
Great question. Any precuts that are more handy to have than others? Any advice on a go-to background fabric that I can keep on hand? So actually, basically 3 questions.
Yeah.
Number 1, how much would you buy if you see a fabric you love but you don't have a specific project?
Just recently I did that, and I got a half yard of everything.
Okay.
Of like 5 different things because I knew I wanted to make a baby quilt out of them.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe your answer is different. So,
well, I don't know. Like if I'm buying a pre-cut and
it has everything in it.
Has everything in it, but I think I might want to make a project with it and not make it scrappy. I will buy at least a yard of 2 different prints so I can use one for border, one for binding. But sometimes you find a fabric that you just love, and I'll get 5 yards because I think I can use it for a backing and then maybe have scraps to use for something else.
I think for mine specifically, I knew 5 half yards of this print would make a baby quilt. So that's why I only got half yards.
Right.
But that's a good idea. Like obviously if you see a floral that you're like, I need that for a backing.
Right.
Plus I'll have extra pieces.
Right.
But I was also going to say like precuts will give you great scraps. Like this quilt on the table, you're going to have great scraps from this quilt. It works perfect for a fat 1/8 quilt, but you're going to have great scraps to use in other projects. And then I organize all my scraps by color. So I don't know.
Yeah. I feel so too. So I feel like, think about if you love a fabric,
Yeah.
how you might use it, backing, border. And then her second question, any precuts that are more handy to have than others? Of course, I feel like fat quarter bundles are the best, but they're the most expensive.
Yes.
So after that, I would get a fat eighth bundle.
Yeah.
And then if you do look at what you make, if you make a lot of strip quilts, you might want to get jelly rolls.
Yeah. I was going to say fat quarter, most expensive, but you're going to get great scraps out of that.
Right.
And you're still going to get great scraps. So if that's your mindset, I would go with that because you're going to have so much extra fabric, I feel like. I mean, there are patterns that use, like I'll have a pattern, my new origami quilt that I showed on Instagram. You use 16 fat quarters, but you might want to consider buying a whole fat quarter bundle, so you have the entire selection. Right. And then you're going to have 16 more fat quarters to make a whole nother quilt, Right. So you could actually get more than one quilt.
Oh, definitely. Of a bundle, so. A fat quarter bundle will make more than one quilt.
Oh, yeah.
Usually.
Totally.
Yeah. And then the other thing I was going to say too is if you're not sure that you want to put out the money for that, buy a mini charm pack. Or buy a charm pack, and
so that you see every single print that is in the collection, and then you can decide, do I really want to spend? It's easier to spend, $450 instead of, more money on the entire line, and then decide I'm not really happy with this, and so that's a great idea.
Yeah. And then her final question, any advice on a go-to background fabric that I can keep on hand?
And ours is the same, I think.
I believe this is a great idea. If you can keep a lot of background fabric on hand, you can make a quilt with anything.
Do it. Yes.
So get yards and keep it stocked. And I generally have a few that I use. The Moda Bella 990060
is the Bella Ivory. And it coordinates with our fabrics.
Right.
And it's the same color as our tone on tone print.
Right.
It's just our tone on tone gives you like more texture to look at, which is nice, but they are the same color. I've had people email me that, what is the Bella that matches? And it's Bella Ivory.
Right.
990060.
Yeah. And then I always try to purchase a bolt of our tone on tone. So I have several of them on my shelf right now, and I can pull from them as needed. And then if I want something a little more white, I will get the 9900-200.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
the Bella 200.
It's a more white. It's not an ivory, but it's not a bright white either.
It's not stark, which I love because I've seen the difference. And if it is too white, I'm like, whoa, it's super, super bright. Yeah. The Bella 200, I feel like, is a really good balance if you want to move more bright and more white.
Right.
And some people prefer that. I actually made a couple quilts with it because sometimes I'm like, you want to know what? I want this to have a different look. I do tend to go towards the ivory because it's warmer and softer.
Right.
When you look at it. But I agree. Those are my top two.
Yeah.
I think are great.
And the 200 will work with our collections too. We did our...
they work great.
Our Bloomtopia quilt was made with the 200.
Bella 200.
So, and then also if I'm combining our fabrics with maybe something from Corey Yoder or Joanna Figueroa,
we'll use the Bella 200.
I'll use the Bella 200, and they all work together that way.
Yep. And I made my All-American with a Bella 200 and with my Harper's Garden, and it was awesome. It looked so good.
Great.
It worked kind of for the patriotic look that I was going for. So
great. Okay. I think that's it. I don't have a tip of the day today. I feel like so many of the questions that we had today were tip related. So,
yeah.
And today's episode was a bonus episode. It was the third Monday of August,
the month.
Right? Well, yeah. So we had 5 Mondays.
Yeah.
And so we did 3
episodes
in August. So we'll get back on our regular schedule in September.
Yep.
And we will be podcasting on Monday, September 7th. So just a week away.
Yeah. So they'll kind of seem back to back, but
right.
It's just going to get us back on schedule.
Right. So we'll have the first and third week of September will be those episodes.
Yeah. Excited. So. And thank you so much for joining in, whether you're listening in on your favorite subscriber, or if you're watching us on YouTube, hi.
Yeah. And as always, we would love to have you subscribe on, especially on Apple, and reviews, especially on Apple,
Yes.
are really helpful.
We appreciate them so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I'm actually listening to a couple podcasts by a couple other people who just started about when we did.
Oh, really?
And they keep saying the same thing. If you give us an Apple review, that's really helpful to get us out there in the world.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
so
All right.
thank you.
Thank you so much for stopping by.